Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for joining with me, Bu Elo, in qualitative research ya about education thing. Now, this is the third video we have here talking about the traditions. Okay, so this is the way how we know and net knowledge about major traditions, especially for the qualitative research. Okay, here we have 7 slides to be presented, and later you may found with the up-to-date references, because if we are talking about the research, we have to be updated person. Okay, before moving on to the business, let's try to recite umul kitab first. Okay, please. Okay, thank you. So here I would like to go to the first slide of the PowerPoint. Okay, so what is actually qualitative research? After experiencing research in a whole paradigm, now we move on to the specific way. What about the qualitative one then? So here I propose three items dealing with the qualitative research itself. The first is on knowledge is relative, because there will be subjectivity coming from the researcher itself. But later, we would like to know about how to minimize it by using the other perspective. That is about the validation coming from the team or maybe the peer teaching and etc. Therefore, the second point here, there is a subjective element to all knowledge and research. After having the 2 points, there we move on to the last one, that is about holistic and self-study. So it's different from the quantitative, which is hard study. We have the special term, the specific term for the qualitative. This is soft, because it's about the analysis. There's no any detail, statistical sites and etc. So after knowing about three basic items in the qualitative research, we move on to the paradigm. So its paradigm have 4 items. This is about the naturalistic, yeah, and then it is uncontrolled, okay, and then this is about the subjective but permits objectivity in the form of inter-observer agreement. Here, okay, that the last is the process oriented. Now, if we go to the naturalistics, okay, so it concerns with the advocation use of qualitative methods concerned with understanding human behavior from the actor's own frame of reference. Therefore, it belongs to the naturalistics as the way it is. Okay. How about the uncontrolled? Because the observation is uncontrolled. If we observe our class, for example, so we cannot control the whole participation coming from the students, maybe, and then added by the studio teachers and etc. So here, talking about the subjective, it close to the data that it is the insider perspective. Therefore, the grounded, discovery-oriented, exploratory, expansionist, descriptive, and inductive. Here we go. For the last point is the process-oriented. Okay, so it is the valid, how come that it would be real, rich of data, and then deeper data, which is categorized into ungeneralizable because of the single case studies and assumes a dynamic reality. So those about the paradigms if we compare the qualitative into the other one, okay, research methods that is quantitative. After having the paradigm, we go to the specific characteristics of qualitative research. Actually, okay, I have one more column because it dealing with the quantitative. I do not mention or type in this PowerPoint. Therefore, I only go to the point of comparison from philosophical roots to the findings of what? Of course, of the qualitative research. Here, there are 10, okay, points of comparison. The first says about the focus of research. As we know in the paradigm, that the qualitative research is talking about the naturalistic, okay, and then about the uncontrolled before the focus of the research, the qualitative research is about the quality itself, about the nature, okay, about the essence of the process of the learning, or maybe about the idea, okay, and the like. And then after that, we go to the philosophical roots. Here, it is contradictory with the other research, okay, if the other one has positivism, logical empirism, here we have the phenomenology, okay, and also the symbolic interaction. Before this point, okay, if the other research have the quantity, how much, how many, but again and again, we have the quality about the nature, the essence of the quality. We move on the third point of comparison that is about the associated phrases. So here we have fieldwork, ethnographic, naturalistic, grounded, and subjective. For my point of view, besides the grounded theory, we also know about the grounded research. How come the our research is the pioneer? Okay, the first research dealing with this kind of big theory. Okay, a part of where, okay, or maybe someone else or some other authors, some other writers or researchers had done in the other perspective point of view, and then we develop, okay, a new part, okay, so it deals with about the novelty. So I think if we are the pioneers of the certain research, we can call it that we are doing grounded research. And then after that, so after associated phrases, okay, we go to the goals of investigation. To what then? To understand, to describe, to discover, to make hypothesis, and to degenerate. So how about the design of characteristics? So here that the qualitative research is flexible, evolving, and emergent. And also the setting is very natural, okay, and familiar. The sample is sometimes small, okay, because we have the deeper data, deeper analysis, non-random, and also theoretical. The data collection, we can collect it from the interview, observation, or maybe questionnaire letter, and you may mention as you collect, okay, for the information about the data collection. About the mode of analysis, we have inductive. About the findings, it could be comprehensive, holistic, and expansive. So those are the 10 items of comparison points in the qualitative research. Now, how about the data collection and analytic procedure in qualitative and qualitative? It means that qualitative data collection and qualitative analytic procedure. So we have to summarize the written field notes, okay, for example, coming from the class interaction, okay, to use profile of various teachers in observational study. So here we go. after comparing between the qualitative research and the other research, we come up to the types of qualitative research design. Actually, here, okay, there are eight paradigms or eight types of qualitative research design. But I would like to go to the pure one. How come that the qualitative research can be put into the research? The first is about the exploratory interpretive. This is the first. So coming from the non-experimental design, qualitative data, and also the interpretive analysis. How about the experimental qualitative interpretive? We go to the next, okay, the second point. So it deals with the experimental or quasi-experimental design. Okay, the data is the qualitative and then the analysis is interpretive. And then the experimental qualitative statistical, it belongs to the experimental or quasi-experimental design, qualitative data, and then the analysis is the statistical. And then here, the last types, okay, about the qualitative is about the exploratory qualitative statistical. So coming from the non-experimental design, qualitative data, and statistical analysis. Here we go. I would like to give five big research traditions in the qualitative. The first is case study. Okay, later we will have the video about this one, and we might discuss in the second Zoom meeting. Okay, on the seventh meeting. The case study is providing in-depth analysis of a single case or phenomenon. And then ethnography, focusing on the cultural context of language use. The phenomenology, exploring lived experience and meanings. Discourse analysis and conversational analysis, examining language in interaction and its social functions. Interaction analysis, observing, unitizing, and coding naturally occurring behavior. Okay, that's all. Okay, about the seven slides dealing with the major traditions in qualitative study. Okay, now let's try to reset by having the hamdalah together. Thank you so much. See you in the next video then. Okay, ya. Stay healthy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.